Hello, my name is Cameron Smith. I am one of the career advisors here in the Center for Career Development. I work primarily with our students thinking about careers in health and life sciences, as well as science, technology, and engineering. I am joined by a recent alum, Alyssa, who's going to talk a little bit about her path and sort of where and how she ended up in South Bend, Indiana, as part of their ESTEEM master's program, which is an 11-month program, Masters of Science in Engineering, Science and Technology, Entrepreneur Excellence. And it's really focused on giving you some real world experience, giving you the opportunity to figure out the why and really engaging in some innovation and some entrepreneurship. Um, which I know is not perhaps the best description, but exactly why we have her here to be able to talk a little bit about what esteem means to her, why she chose it, how she's enjoying the experience, and just how this could be a fit for you going forward. So, um, would love to, and thank you so much again for joining us. I know this is right in the midst, and we were just kind of talking about it midterms for you, but would you mind just telling us a little bit about sort of what esteem means for you? We'll start with that.
Yeah, thank you, Cameron. I
Yeah.
would say what esteem is to me, I was very excited about it once I heard about it because it's something that I've never heard before. Essentially, the whole program is based on taking technical ideas and concepts and translating them into business innovations and entrepreneurship. And it's all paired with a year-long industry-sponsored capstone project where I'm able to work part-time and directly apply what I'm learning in class into a real world project that is allowing me to gain work experience at the same time. So, STEAM is very innovative, collaborative, it's experiential, and it's very hands on. And I'm really enjoying it so far.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I think it's such a good fit for so many of our Holy Cross students. And so I guess want to highlight a little bit of kind of what you did while you were here in Worcester, while you were here at Holy Cross, maybe majors, minors, involvement on campus, athletics, some of the other experiences that were really the most meaningful to you, and really how they kind of shaped your decision to pursue graduate studies, particularly the esteemed program.
Yeah, so I graduated last year, class of 2025, and I double majored in both math and health studies. And I was really looking for a way to bridge those two majors together. I chose math because of like the problem solving, analytical, and critical thinking skills associated with it. And I chose health studies because I want to eventually work in healthcare or the life sciences, but more so on the business side. So I think bridging the thought process I gained through the math major with the focus in healthcare is really neat. And this program is allowing me to do that. And it's allowing me to gain business skills and innovation skills that can translate my two technical majors into a long-term career going forward. At Holy Cross, I was also on the women's soccer team, so I played a sport, which is awesome, and I loved it. And I also did a lot of community service. One in particular is I did the Big Brothers Big Sisters program, and I still talk to my little today, which is
Great.
awesome.
Very cool.
Next time I call her, she's gonna be like, "You haven't talked to me in so long," but I promise I will in a couple weeks. But yeah, it I really enjoy this program because it's been able to, as I said, bridge my technical major into and develop more business skills. A lot of the classes are very business oriented, but I feel like a lot of what I learned at Holy Cross definitely directly applies to the program. And I would definitely say also the time management aspect with
Mm.
being a STEM major, being an athlete, doing a lot of community service, and all of that really has translated well to esteem because essentially with the program, I'm currently actually in 8 classes. They're all, for the most part, 1.5 credits. And then
Okay.
I'm doing a capstone project on top of that, which I think I kind of spoke to before. But it's
Yeah.
15 hours a week, and I'm working with Ipsos MMA, which is it's a market research and marketing analytics consulting company. It's a global company. And so I'm basically balancing classes with this project for the course of the whole entire year. But it's really neat because I'm able to gain work experience and also build on the skills that I had acquired in my 4 years at Holy Cross.
That's great. That's great. I know we kind of talked about this last year as we were going through the application process. This is a newer partnership between Holy Cross and the ESTEEM program. And so we were a little late to kind of finding out about it and getting involved, and this is no fault of your own. But can you maybe talk through sort of that application process for ESTEAM, the kind of the aspects of like your Holy Cross experience that you really, highlighted in that process and sort of what it looked like for you, how daunting it was, how kind of what it sort of looked like for you in applying to the program.
Yeah, so the application wasn't bad at all. Cameron and I were talking about this, but I was very last minute to the application. I applied on an extended deadline in April and basically had 1 week to submit the application. But the application itself wasn't bad. I think the biggest part was you need 3 to 5 recommendations. And so just reaching out to people and in my case, in a rush asking if they could get these recommendations together for me. But honestly, all the faculty at Holy Cross were really good about it. I had 2 math professors write me recommendations. I had my coach write me a recommendation and managers from previous internships too. So I tried to keep that part well rounded and have people that know like different aspects of me all able to contribute to it, which was awesome. And then there was also a short essay question. But in my case, I thought it was longer because I thought it had to be like 3 pages and it only had to be one. So it's definitely not that scary. But I honestly think because I wrote more and they still said that I could submit it, I think that it allowed me to really explain my experiences and why I thought esteem was the perfect next step for me really well. And I felt like I was able to articulate it a lot through that essay. And then after submitting the application, they sent me a link to one of like the higher view pre-recorded interviews and I answered a few questions there. All, basically just how are you entrepreneurial? So when's a time when you went out of your way to do something that was outside of the norm? And I did an academic internship my senior spring, which not every student does, but some students do. And I was like, I basically paved the way to find this internship and do this internship during the school year. And that's just one lens of being entrepreneurial. And you don't even need to have the experience of founding your own company. It's great if you do. So many people in this program have, which is amazing. But this program is also there to give you the opportunity to found something yourself, or to allow you to come up with ideas and work with others and work to come up with your own business or maybe be a founder at some point in the future, but not right away. They're there for any step for you along the process. So I definitely think it's not as intimidating as one would probably think, but yeah, and I definitely recommend applying. So
Good. And I think one of the nice parts about this partnership is that there are some pretty significant scholarship opportunities, and you were able to receive one of those.
yeah.
50% off tuition, 50% of
Mhm.
tuition, which again, graduate school is expensive. So I think anytime you can cut that in half is just a great opportunity.
Yeah.
Um, just thinking about sort of like the map of this. So it's an 11-month master's program. You get started right in that summer post-graduation, and you are going to go up through this May, correct?
Yes.
How was that sort of jump going, like, literally cap and gown to like right out to South Bend? How was that sort of summer experience? What does it look like for you thus far?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it was a very quick turnaround.
Yeah.
I had like I think 3 weeks from graduation till coming to South Bend, and I guess with Holy Cross you get the senior week and you get Cape week and then graduation. So there was a little bit time after classes ended before I actually started here in mid-June, and I would say the summer was very busy. It was a shortened 6 week, basically accelerator, throwing you into things right away. We kind of hit the ground running. I think we had like 5 different classes, and because the classes were for a shorter duration of time, like in weeks, they
Mhm.
were a little bit longer. So it was definitely time consuming, but it allowed me to get an understanding as to what the year would be like ahead of me. And
Mhm.
it also, I felt like coming here over the summer, there's about 50, maybe a couple more than 50 individuals in my program. And I got to meet with people and connect with people right away. Whereas a lot of other master's programs, you're not coming until everyone is back on campus, including the undergrads.
Mhm.
So I think it was better that I was able to come over the summer and meet and connect with people and basically establish relationships with people before the rest of the school came. And I would also say we did have like a 2.5 week August break too, which
That's
was
nice.
really nice. So after the summer semester ended at the end of July, I got to go home for 2.5 weeks. So that gave me a little bit more of a summer too, until coming back here more towards the end of August to start for the fall semester. But I like that this is an 11-month program because graduating in May puts me in the right timeline for jobs, especially with everyone else coming out of
Mhm.
undergrad around the same time. So I really think that because it's 11 months, yes, I did have to come. It was a quick turnaround after I graduated, but I'm happy for it because one, it's only 11 months. It's a master's in 11 months, which is
Yeah.
pretty much unheard of. And two, it's perfect timeline for jobs and everything moving forward. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it from that aspect. It's almost mid-August and it's already flown by really fast. They keep us really busy here, but I'm also really enjoying what I'm learning at the same time. And it's applicable to jobs and everything moving forward too. So I can directly see, okay, what I'm learning, this is actually gonna go into a career moving forward. So yeah,
That's great. That's
highly recommend.
wonderful. I'm curious, sort of thinking about the Holy Cross experience, kind of the liberal arts background, the dual major that you had. How is kind of like the classroom experience here, the what you've learned, that foundation really like set you up for success, which I know a lot of it is group projects. I know a lot of it is hands-on. A lot of it is really kind of like working and fast paced. How is it sort of, it sounds like you've kind of like slid in seamlessly, but what does that really look like for you? How has Holy Cross kind of got you ready for that?
Yeah, I think especially coming from a very technical major at Holy Cross, I
Hmm.
think that that aspect really helped me. For the most part, everyone in my program does come from a STEM background, but
Okay.
there are a handful that don't come from a STEM background too. So I wouldn't be discouraged if you're not a STEM student to come. But I think because of how time consuming a STEM major is, it allowed me to prepare adequately for this program.
Yeah.
And I would say the classes are just very different. For math, they were very technically challenging and confusing in their own right, so that was very time consuming in its own right. Whereas my classes now, they're very business oriented, and as you said, they're hands-on, so it still is very time consuming, but to some extent, what I'm learning isn't necessarily as hard because it's so applicable. So I'm currently in a sales class, a marketing class, I'm in my capstone class. I'm in intellectual property and business law. I'm in launching physical products. I'm in business analytics and generative AI. I might be missing one in there, but they're all very interesting. And because the concepts that I'm learning are very applicable to business, I
Hmm.
find it enjoying to learn about because these are all, okay, maybe I don't want a career in sales going forward. Who knows? Maybe I do, but it's important for me to know, especially if I want to pursue entrepreneurship moving
Yeah.
forwards. And it's important for me to understand like all aspects of business. And they are very hands-on and project oriented. In most of my classes, I'm working in a group for basically a semester, and I'm working with others. Oh, the other class is finance. That's what I was missing,
There you
finance.
go.
Um, but I'm essentially very group-like setting, and I'm working with others, and we're all basically doing it together as a group, which is awesome and very project-oriented too.
That's great. That's wonderful. Um, Curious, maybe kind of two questions wrapped in one, but anything really like surprise you about the program since starting in the summer? And then maybe what have you enjoyed the most about the program since
Yeah.
starting?
Okay, surprise me. Honestly, I was very pleasantly surprised by this whole thing. I had never even been to Notre Dame before or seen it at
Okay.
all. So this was pretty much, okay, I'm only going there for 11 months. If it's not fun, it's not fun.
Yeah.
But I was very pleasantly surprised by the people. And the first day when I got here, all the faculty are amazing. Since it's a 50-person program, I have really good relationships with all the faculty members and I've been able to really connect with them. But I was also very surprised by the students too, because the students are all great. They're all very nice. Everyone was wanting to meet everyone and like hang out right away. And I instantly felt like I was in my own little like community or family, much like Holy Cross,
Yeah.
and especially like being on the soccer team at Holy Cross, but even like the greater community at Holy Cross. Like I had my team, which was like my own mini family, but everyone at Holy Cross was always very welcoming and inviting. And that was one of my favorite aspects of Holy Cross, but I feel like it translated over to Notre Dame really well, and the people here are also amazing. There's something really cool. I feel like with Holy Cross, it's really big into the Jesuit, well-rounded education,
Mhm.
and I feel like at Notre Dame, it kind of builds off of that, where still same focus there, but they have something really cool that's called being a force for good. And if you look up on like YouTube or if you just Google search Notre Dame Force for Good, they have all these videos of all these like great things that Notre Dame students have done, maybe companies they founded, ideas they've came up with in order to just help people. And in a career going forward, I also want to be able to help people. So I find those very inspirational. And it's really cool to see how students like myself have done things and accomplished things in order to help people. What was your second question? I forget.
What have you enjoyed the most? Which I think you've kind of gotten into a little bit, but
Yeah,
is there more? And I'm going to ask you more about the capstone piece too. So if that
yeah.
kind of ties in, we can look at
Okay.
that.
So enjoyed the most. Well, I could talk about a little bit more outside the classroom. I'd say the
Yeah.
football games are so fun. Um, I mean, going to Holy Cross, it was a small school, a very good football program, always fun. But going here, it's a bigger school. There's so many fans. People in the community are honestly just like diehard Notre Dame fans. So it's honestly something that I've never like seen or experienced before. But yeah, very fun. So I really like that. What else have I
Great.
enjoyed the most? I don't know. I feel like that's good.
I mean, that's a pretty cool one, and
Yeah.
like what a neat transition to be able to go, you know, to go to South Bend and have that and be able to kind of be a
Yeah.
part
Oh,
of
the
that.
other thing that I've really enjoyed, this is what I was gonna say, sorry, I
Okay,
just remembered, is
please.
the fact that there's other Holy Cross students here.
Yeah.
I think there's either 4 or 5 of us,
Okay.
but I've been able to become better friends with them, even if I wasn't as close with them in undergrad, and be able to like build relationships with them because we have Holy Cross in common and just become friends with them, which I think is really neat.
That's great. And kind of in different master's programs and
All
doctorate
in different
programs.
programs. There's one other Holy Cross grad in my program,
Okay.
but he graduated in 22, so a few
Okay.
years older than I am. And then there's someone getting their master's in management. There's someone getting their PhD in physics.
Wow.
There's someone in the law school program, and I think
Okay.
there might be one more, but those are the ones that I've been in connection with, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. It's nice to know that yeah, kind of the Holy Cross network travels with you there. So awesome. Um, so this idea of the capstone project, and I think we've talked a little bit about this, but it's just a really cool hands-on experience and like squeezed into all the other classes and everything else you're doing in this, 11 months. Can you talk more about that and sort of like how you selected what you wanted to do and how you kind of got into it and how much time you're spending there in a day-to-day with it?
Yeah, so the capstone project, essentially the whole entire time while we're here, we're working with a real company on a project that essentially they say it takes up like 15 to 20 hours a week. And it was very neat when I first got here and actually how they matched students with their projects. And essentially, I'll talk about that, and then I can go
Yeah.
more into in depth about what my project specifically is. But essentially, the first week, we got this like database of 53 different companies. There's 53 of us. And so there were exact number of companies and projects as there were students. And essentially, we got to read 3 to 5 page project descriptions that the companies had written up,
Okay.
and the companies got to read all of our resumes. So we had to complete our resumes before coming here so that our resumes were ready for the companies to see. And from there, we basically selected our top 5 companies of what we were most interested in. And then for the next 2 weeks, we basically just did interviews. And so the 5 companies that each of the students chose, those companies were highly encouraged to interview all the students that chose them. But
Mhm.
then the additional people that the companies were interested in, the additional students, they were also able to request meetings or interviews with the students. So
Okay.
over the course of 2 weeks, I actually ended up doing about, I think it was 14
Ooh.
interviews, like 30 minutes, short interviews, low stakes because I'm going to end up with a project no matter what. But I
Right.
actually thought that that was a really good experience just to become more comfortable with with interviewing and
Yeah.
talking to people. I could just feel the confidence grow over those 2 weeks. So I felt like that was a really cool aspect that you don't necessarily think of. And then at the end of the 2 weeks, the students re-ranked their top 5 companies, and the companies re-ranked their top 5 students. And from there, they match. So essentially, every student at every company hopefully gets someone that they're um, happy with, something that they want to do, which is really cool. And in my case, it was really unique because I'm currently working with Ipsos MMA, but
Mhm.
I met them and was interviewing with them for a different project. And after they met me, they wrote a new project for me. So
Wow.
they call that a perfect match, which doesn't always happen, but they actually ended up writing a project that was exactly what I'm interested in, and I'm interested in it as a career moving forward, which I think is a very neat thing just to share with the other Holy Cross students is that's also a possibility. And so Ipsos MMA is essentially a marketing analytics and market research consulting company globally,
Mhm.
and I'm working specifically within their pharmaceutical practice to enhance their current marketing analytics solution with a
Okay.
focus on audience quality and attribution. So throughout the year, we're basically tasked to do market research. So we have to hit 50 total stakeholder interviews
Okay.
so I've spoken to internal Ipsos employees. I just had 2 interviews earlier today with some of their clients, so I'm speaking to people externally, and I'm basically using these interviews to tailor my project throughout the year,
Mhm.
and my project is basically enhancing their marketing analytics platform, and so throughout the year, in November, I'm gonna start and build a prototype versus basically to show what this solution should look like and how it should operate,
Mhm.
and then use the remainder of my interviews to then basically iteratively develop it after I have that baseline. So by the end of the year, I can deliver a finalized prototype to the company that they can then go and code and hopefully have this solution like permanently to help their practice moving forward. And hopefully it'll also allow them to scale. And all the while I'm doing that, I'm also building like the business case and the business plan for it too. So I'm doing like the technical aspect of it, but also the business, like more holistic aspect of it too, which I think is really cool. And I'm so interested in the project. It's
Yeah.
very neat to talk about. They had an advisory board meeting for basically entrepreneurship at Notre Dame, and they wanted me to speak at it so I could talk about my capstone project, which was also a really cool opportunity for me to
Wow.
meet some very important people.
Yeah. That's fantastic. So I know when we had sort of spoken during the application process, the idea was sort of maybe consulting, life sciences, healthcare. Is that's still kind of the draw? And it sounds like maybe
Yes.
Esteem is really
Yes.
preparing you for that.
Yes, which is why I really liked this project because originally when I was interviewing with the company, they basically consult across all industries, like, they have, like,
Mhm.
Volvo, GM, Starbucks are some of their major, clients,
Okay.
but I had said to them, I was like, "Yeah, like, that's really cool, but I'm actually really interested in healthcare and the life sciences," and the next thing I know, they had written a pharmaceutical client project for me, which is very cool, and it's very transferable into what I wanna do moving forward. It also really builds off of both my majors, obviously
Yeah.
marketing analytics is heavy in math
Hmm.
and it's heavy in health studies, which is really cool, but it also builds off of my internship experience too that I've had in marketing. I worked in marketing and pharma, and
Hmm.
I also worked in data analytics too, which I feel like is also very transferable to this. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great stuff, and I really like it. It's a really cool project, and I would also say the other projects here are very cool. They have I was very impressed when I was reading them how well-rounded they are. They're across every industry. They have anywhere from large global companies like Ipsos MMA to smaller companies that are like the most startup of startups very early on, maybe just have
Okay.
a concept or maybe a medical device that just got FDA approval and they're
Wow.
getting ready for their first commercial launch. I was definitely more interested in the healthcare ones, so I can speak to those a little bit more, but there's
Yeah,
plenty
yeah.
of like technology and engineering ones too, and they kind of span everything. So I definitely think a student would be able to find what they're looking for.
That's
Um,
great. That's incredible. And it really does. I get it. Like it's super cliche from me here. I apologize, dad jokes, but it does sound like a perfect match. Like this is
mhm.
everything we had kind of talked back to, like the application process just feels like it is lining up unbelievably.
Exactly.
So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
When we're sort of if we've got Holy Cross Student Center maybe on the fence and kind of thinking about pursuing a STEAM or going out to work, what would you say to kind of those folks to consider a STEAM and to consider applying to Notre Dame?
Yeah, what would I say to them? Well, one, reach out to people that are in the program. They can talk to me if they want. They're more than welcome. I
Great.
when you first told me about it, and I read about it on the website. I then asked you if I could talk to someone in the program, and you put me in touch with Nick Farmer. And I know he's going out to Holy Cross next
Yeah.
month, but any time of year, whoever wants to apply to it, I definitely recommend talking to Nick because definitely the reason why I applied. After speaking to him, I was like, that's definitely what I want to do. And he's also honestly just one of the nicest people, and he is also a diehard Notre Dame fan, which is really
He
funny.
is.
Everyone in South Bend is, but yeah, no, he's a great guy. And talking to him, he's so knowledgeable about the program, like he knows what he's doing. So I definitely would recommend, honestly, talk to him before you even apply because what he says can also help you in the application. And I remember when I spoke to Nick, I also asked him if I could speak to a current student, and they have Nick has students that are working for him basically for recruitment too.
Okay.
So so Nick could also put anyone that's wanting to learn more about esteem in contact with any of those students that are working more specifically in recruiting. With that said,
Okay.
I'm happy to help and talk to anyone from Holy Cross too. But there are students that are more like supposed to be doing that, if that makes sense. But
Yeah,
I
ambassadors.
just
Yeah, yeah.
recommend speaking to people, and the more people you talk to, you're gonna be able to learn about different aspects of the program too that maybe one person wouldn't think to tell.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, what else? Yeah, and I would just recommend just yeah, talk to them and just start plugging away. I don't think anything about the application is too intimidating or there's really anything you're going to be missing. But if you are going for that scholarship, I did need a recommendation from the chair of my major, which
Yes.
I didn't know that until very last minute, but that's something I would look into for the scholarship is those specific requirements and what you also need for that.
That's great. Wonderful. Any other kind of final thoughts, pieces of advice, things you wish you would have known kind of going into the process that you want to make sure are kind of out there for folks considering esteem?
Yeah, thoughts or pieces for advice. I honestly think this program like you also don't have to be an entrepreneur to do the program. There are
Mhm.
many different paths, and honestly this program just allows you to learn about business and business innovation to begin with, that you don't have to be intimidated by it being entrepreneurship. I've never been like I want to be an entrepreneur, but now that I'm learning about it, I'm like this is actually really cool. I do really like it. And there's also different paths in how Notre Dame can support you if you do have your own idea, or if you come up with an idea while you're here. There's
Okay.
something really cool that Notre Dame does. It's called the McCloskey competition, and it's essentially a competition you can earn money, you can compete for prizes and earn money for your own startup idea. And
Wow.
I think the biggest prize if you win the whole thing is like a lot of money at the end of April. But there's different ways to move forward and become an entrepreneur. one of the electives they're offering in the spring is actually entrepreneurship through acquisition. So you as a person could acquire a company and then become a CEO or an entrepreneur that way, which is also really cool. So there's many different paths and many different things that you can learn here that you never knew were a thing until you got here. And I just think, especially because I didn't come from much of a business background myself, that being able to learn the business side of things and the different opportunities that truly are out there for me has been really cool. And the other thing I would say is the Holy Cross Network was very good. And it's known to be very good. The one at Notre Dame is also very good. So
Great.
I've been taking the time to talk to both Holy Cross and Notre Dame grads as I'm going down my career path. But it's good because it just gives me more people to talk to, which
Yeah.
is really cool. And I do think this was the right next step for me and able to bridge me from math and health studies into hopefully like the business side of healthcare or the life sciences moving forward. So, yeah, any advice? I'm trying to think. Ask questions.
That's great.
Yeah, no, I would honestly recommend it for anyone though. I really like it. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Well, Alyssa, thank you so much. I know, again, in the middle of midterms, a couple weeks out from here, fall break, and so really crunch time out there in South Bend. But
Oh,
I
thank
think being able to
you.
hear about this and kind of put a name with a face and really kind of dive into some of the details that you can't necessarily read on the website is wonderful for students.
Yeah.
We will be sharing more information about this and highlighting other alums that have gone through the program as well, and certainly kind of highlighting your experience, your LinkedIn, and how folks can get a hold of you. But thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for sharing this experience. And I'm so glad it is working out as well as it is for you. Exciting to
Yeah, well,
hear.
thank you, Cameron.
Thank
And yeah,
you.
if anyone has any questions, don't hesitate to reach out.
Great.